Unstoppable hearts and steadfast pride. Detroit spirit, we wear it wide. Feel the drive, hear the crowds embrace.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap back, looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked.
Yes,
Taken
sir.
down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
Hands it to Gibbs, running right, runs through a tackle, gets down to the 10, Gibbs to the 5, still fighting down to the 2, down to the 1, to the end zone!
Yes.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! He did not quit!
Nice job.
Off to throw again, does, middle, J-Mo angling to the end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions! J-Mo flips into the end zone for 6.
Nice job.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
All right, welcome in. It is Thursday, so that means we're going to be getting into Steelers a little bit this morning. We were going to have a shortened version of the show today starting at 7:30, but my appointment got pushed back, so we'll be in a little bit longer. Anyway, good morning to everybody. Detroit Lions on the hot seat, and they got to win all 3. It's that simple. They have to win out. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but butts are on seats, and seats are hot right now. Lions have to perform. So what does it mean? We'll break down the Lions and Steelers probably coming up in the second half of the show. We'll get into Lions news and rumors at the beginning. We're going to hear from Jared Goff today and what he has to say about the Steelers and Aiden Hutchinson on Aaron Rodgers, and Jack Campbell, of course, preparing for Aaron Rodgers and what he thinks about this matchup. And then Dan Campbell, his press conference from yesterday. If we have time, we'll get into that as well. So good morning. Welcome to the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Let's just get right into it. Eric, how you doing this morning, man?
Man, if I could hit the mute button today.
Say, Cat got your tongue?
I am fantastic, dude.
There you go.
So I got a little bit of a surprise last night. I got this message from a gentleman named Jeremy Wood, and he asked me if I ever go through Mount Pleasant. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be in Mount Pleasant on Sunday evening. I said, I'm staying the night there after the Lions game. And he's like, well, I have a radio show on 104.3 Central Michigan's Best Variety, and I do the morning show. Would you like to come be a guest on the morning show on Monday? So on Monday morning at 6 a.m., I'm going to go be a guest on 104.3 in Mount Pleasant. Talk about the Lions for a little bit.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, something different.
Man, we don't have anybody in yet. Let me double check. We're
starting a little early.
Kick back the minutes here. Okay. Yeah, that should be fun, man. Radio shows are fun. I've done a few in the past, and
I've done a few with music, but never for the Lions. So this will be a first talking about the Lions.
Yeah. So how did that go down? How did they reach out to you?
On Facebook.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. How do they
He
find
just
you?
asked, because of all my posts on all the Lions pages.
All right. So it's working,
Yeah.
man. So if you want to get on a radio show, make sure you're posting.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Let me check audio real quick.
I listened to your intro there because it was super loud and distorted in my ears, but through the phone it sounded really good.
Yeah, it's there's something going on like with yours too, and I don't get it.
Yeah. On the back end, it sounds is mine sound all distorted and stuff to you?
Some days it does. Right now, it's not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because see, now you're not all distorted where you were before. Strange stuff.
I was a little closer to the mic a minute ago.
Oh, okay.
Oh shit.
So Steelers week. This is going to be a fun one with good old Aaron Rodgers, our nemesis. Does he have enough left in the tank to take us down one last time with some stupid fail Mary? I sure hope not. What do we want to start with first this afternoon or this morning?
I don't know. I got a few things to get into. So next year's plan, since you brought up radio, next year's plan is to be on a show at least twice a week. That info will come out later, but the plan is to link up and broaden what we're doing. So what I really need is I need someone to come in and fill these seats, which would be great. Someone to come in and fill in on the morning show so that we can have it 5 days a week. This might be evening though. I might be doing evening as opposed to morning.
Yeah, we got to get Robbie Ones, get him a microphone and a camera.
Yeah, that's if he wants to do it, right? Well, he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
All right, everything sounds good to me. You guys just let us know if you get any changes, but I tried to fix some things last night with the audio. It did sound distorted, but I guess I want to start with Kirby because I had a conversation last night and it did not go well.
Yeah.
Yesterday was just a walkthrough for practice. And so that really shouldn't alarm anybody that he's on the list as a DNP, did not practice. Anytime you have a walkthrough, it's speculation, right? And if you were not practicing the practice before, and then you're going into your first practice and you're a DNP, it doesn't make any sense to get alarmed, right? However, the setback that Kirby Joseph suffered the week before, from what I'm hearing, is season-ending potential. And, I tried to liken this to what I go through. I mean, it's crazy how much crap medically I have going on with me, but when you think about cancer and what that does to you and how many different things that really screws up in your body and, like hormones and how important that is to cartilage and everything else in your body, it's not surprising to me that I'm having the issues that I have, especially with the one hip that has more going on than just cartilage issues. So I need 2 knees and 2 hips early. At 45 years old, I need both hips done. One of them has to be done for another reason, which we've been kind of limping along, but I get it. Like, I get what Kirby's going through. So I'm not a doctor. All right? I'm not going to pretend to be a doctor, but I'm going to speak from what I know personally. What I went through last night with respect to Kirby's situation was kind of touching back on, what Dan Campbell said at specific times and what Kirby has said at specific times and how it doesn't make any sense, right? So a lot of people started to speculate what was going on with Kirby because there was really never a definitive diagnosis that was given to anybody. It was Dan Campbell coming to the mic and saying, we need to get it calmed down, right? And he's got a little pain in there. Anything that you have to calm down means it's angry. And that term angry means it's inflamed. Inflamed can cause pain, right? And other issues. So, that was a trigger word for me to understand that he's dealing with something that was more significant than just a bone bruise. However, a bone bruise can also be angry, inflamed. I mean, that's what it is. And that can cause some pain. But when Dan followed that up in the next statement or the next sentence where he said that there's a little wear in there, he's dealing with some wear, that's where it changed. And if you didn't catch that phrase, wear doesn't go away, right? There's a bone bruise goes away. A broken bone heals. A torn ligament has surgery and heals, right? A strained muscle, a sprained ankle, that stuff heals. Wear in terms of joints does not get better, right? So whenever you're bone on bone, and wear in the term of a joint means that the cartilage is dissipated or it's receded, right? You've lost cushion. You're a little bit more bone on bone. Now, can that happen just from normal wear and tear? Like they say, as you get older, you're going to have some wear and tear. And, it used to be when you were, 70 years old, you'd see, your grandma, your grandpa, their fingers are all crinkled up and they're walking with a cane and, they're rigid. Well, nowadays, a lot of people my age and even younger are dealing with those things a lot earlier. Take this for what it's worth. It's your freaking food. The things that you're putting in your body. All of this processed crap and these bioengineered products, that's what's destroying us. We're not eating real food. It's like we're eating plastic and we're getting, no real good benefits from it. So what you put in your body is what you're going to put out. Now, I have to believe that Kirby Joseph eats a pretty healthy diet. And so that's a non-issue. This is truly wear and tear from him being an athlete. And I was a 5-sport athlete. I mean, I did it all, and I paid the price. I had a lot of sports injuries when I was younger, and that's why I'm dealing with a lot of stuff that I'm dealing with today outside of the cancer. So it's the wear that is the problem. And he's been out since week 6, right? Starting in August, the statement was a bone bruise, and then that turned into the wear statement, and then he was kind of up and down throughout training camp and preseason, and then week 1, he's off the injury report. And then right after week 1, he's back on it for week 2 and week 3. And then week 4, he's back on it. He plays through week 4 and 5 and 6. I think we had a bye week, week 5. And then in week 6, he's done, right? He leaves the game, and he hasn't been back since. What I also mentioned is I've had specific things done to my knees. I have, issues with the, what do they call it, like the perineal nerve or whatever. There's a nerve that innervates the sciatica that branches all the way down from the lumbar and goes all the way, really to the bottom of, your feet. It has little branches everywhere. And so there's like a perineal nerve that runs on the side of my knee that I have a lot of trouble with. But anytime I bend my knee I really can't get down on my knees. No pun intended there. Pause, sickos. What I'm trying to equate this to is that loss of cushion that I have, they injected hyaluronic acid, big giant needles, putting a bunch of fluid in there. What's 5 cc's worth of fluid, swells up your knee, fills up the kneecap spacing, and or the spacing between the joint and socket, all that good stuff. Hurts like hell, and after a couple of days, you start to feel better, right? You have cushion, but I'm not an athlete anymore. I can't imagine what that would do for him. I'm sure he's tried it. And then he also mentioned, Kirby said that he was asked by a reporter if he was going to have surgery in the offseason, and he said, quote, nuh-uh. So that tells me it's non-operable, right? Whenever you lose cartilage, that's really non-operable. You can't just take cartilage and put it into a knee. That's called a knee replacement, right? There's no cartilage you can put back in there. You can take a cadaver ligament and replace ligaments, yes, but you can't replace the cartilage. Unless they've come up with something new that I've never heard of, it can't be done. So I believe it's not surgery, and it's going to be the stem cell. Maybe he didn't want to admit that that's what he was going to do, or whatever Christian McCaffrey did, which I believe was the stem cell therapy out in Germany. I think you brought that up yesterday. I believe that's where he's going with this. But if it's non-operable, then the likelihood that Kirby Joseph has a shortened career is very likely. And the likelihood that if he doesn't make it up this week, I heard he's going to IR for the season. This is like the last hurrah. Now, that is just the speculation from the people that I talk to, right? And an individual that I've always talked to over the last 3 seasons that has given me really good information. I'll never burn my sources, but and I'm not going to tell you how close they are to the situation. I hope that they're all wrong, and I hope that this info is wrong. I want it to be wrong because I feel bad for Kerr, man. I feel bad that this happened to him. But the other thing is, I got to be real, Eric. How the hell did the Lions miss this? How do you sign someone to an $80 million contract? They have to go through, some medical stuff before you would assume that he went through some medical checkups, did a physical, probably some MRIs. You check out all of the major joints and make sure that he's okay. You probably get your spine looked at, your brain looked at. I mean, everything, right? They probably do a full body. How do you miss this? Because if he was fine leading up to training camp, how do you go from not being able or being able to play to not being able to play? Like cartilage doesn't just disappear overnight.
Yeah.
It takes time, or it takes very significant injuries. And I don't remember at one specific player time in Kirby's career where he's taken, a bunch of knee shots, maybe against Hawkinson and others, but he hasn't taken a bunch of knee shots,
Yeah.
and it's literally just running around playing football. So Kirby potentially going to IR is real. What do you think about that? And then after we put that to bed, what are the Lions going to do?
Well, everyone got mad at me last week when I said we are not going to see Kirby in another game this year. I put it on social media and everyone persecuted me this whole last week. And guess what? He didn't play last week. And I said it again this week and everybody got pissed off and mad at me. And guess what? He's not going to play again this week. And I think you're exactly right. I think this is the last straw. I think that's it. Shelf him. Because it's not going to help you. We lost Craig Reynolds because of this. If you would have put him on IR back after week 6, you don't have to bring him back at any certain point. You can start his clock whenever you want. We could have saved Craig Reynolds. I would rather have Craig Reynolds right now playing on our special teams than Kirby Joseph on our 53 taking up a roster spot. And that's just my opinion. But when you're losing players like Craig Reynolds, he was a big part of our special teams. And when you can have him and Vaki and Kennedy and Leaf out there all at the same time, that makes a big difference.
On special teams, yeah.
On special teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Special teams is a huge part of this game. Everybody just thinks, oh, it's just kickoffs, whatever. No, special teams are huge. They are a huge part of the game in the NFL.
It's more vital to the Lions in the way that they have set up their roster. And since you brought that up, let me just 2 seconds here. I think and I pointed this out in the article about Brad Holmes the other day, and I haven't followed it up with a video yet because I started working on one about about Dan. The reason why special teams is so vital to this team, and I'm not saying it's not for other teams because it is when you look at how Brad constructed the roster and what his plan was from the very beginning. 2021, 2022, almost every one of our draft picks started. That was by design. One, we didn't have anybody. And the roster that he inherited was not great. And two, those players that he drafted, well, some of them ended up being better than what we already had. So it was get them a lot of snaps. They're okay with not winning football games. They knew that there was going to be a bumpy road. Fans, of course, didn't expect that, right? Fans were expecting that we're going to go in and we're going to win all these games. We're going to the playoffs right now. No. It was a 4-year rebuild at a minimum. You needed 4 drafts. Now we're into the 5th season. This is when we should start to cook. We were just cooking with gas a little bit early, at the end of 2022, the second half of 22. It's like, whoa, we're this team now? Well, we're this team now because of special teams. And so when he drafted all of those players in 21 and 22, and then you get it ingrained in your head that, oh, every pick that Brad drafts is supposed to start, supposed to play a lot of snaps. That is not normal. But it was that way because of the way the roster was put together at that time, and we didn't have a bunch of, A players. We had a bunch of C players, and he drafted some B players that were better. So special teams is vital to this team because of how Brad drafts. He drafts to put a couple of elite players on both sides of the ball, and then he also drafts to fill special teams. Those players that we're getting, in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounds now, maybe not in 22 and 23, but the later rounds now, those are all our special teams guys. And they're supposed to play. And a lot of them are supposed to make the 53. It's going to be harder and harder and harder to make the 53 unless you are a special teamer. So in this next year's draft, you're looking for probably three more A players, and then the rest are going to be B players, guys that should be able to make the 53 as a special teamer. But I would put caution out there that 6th and 7th round picks are unlikely to make this roster, depending on what happens in free agency in 2026. So I just wanted to point that out because you're right. Special teams is huge. It's vital to this team more so than any other team because we use all three phases to win football games. You can't say that about every team.
No.
They want to. The theory's there, but they're not built that way. That is the identity of this team and what Dan and Brad do. It's an identity. It's not an afterthought. It is a forethought. We are going to build all three at the same time. We're not just going to take our C and B players and say, okay, you know what? We drafted you. We thought you were going to be good. Here, we'll give you special teams. It doesn't work that way because sometimes, most times, players can't play special teams. They're not good at it. It takes a special type of athlete to be able to, run down a field full speed, track the ball that you can't see, and then find the runner and make a hit and make sure that you're sealing up all the lanes on the way down. It's not easy. It's extremely difficult, honestly. Anyway, keep on going with what you were saying. I didn't mean to take all your thunder there.
But I really do. I think I just don't see Kirby coming back this year. I think that's it. I think he's done. Why they didn't shelve him earlier is beyond me. Maybe they were holding out hope. Maybe there's some doctor telling them that, as long as you let him rest for a couple of weeks, he can get back in. Or maybe he was saying, I can get it back in. I can get back in. I don't know what it is, but it's all speculation. But I just don't see him playing another down this year. I just don't see.
I hope. I hope that we're wrong, and I hope that Kirby can play. But I think that we need to face the music here and be honest that Kirby is considered a liability right now, and like I've seen it in the chat a little bit. People saying that was Brad Holmes' worst signing. Again,
no way.
It hasn't finished yet, right? We're not to the end of this conversation. We're not to the end of Kirby Joseph. No. He could. Look at Christian McCaffrey. How's he been playing this year? I don't have his stats in front of me, but I think he's had a pretty damn good season.
He's going to be comeback player of the year this year.
He could be. So if Kirby goes and gets the same treatment and he's ready for next year, great. My only question is, and you brought something else up, like losing Craig Reynolds. I get it. I liked Craig too, and he was good in special teams, and he's an emergency running back. What is going on with our IR stuff? Because I get where Dan and Brad on one side of the equation are saying we need to withhold as many of the 8 that we can bring back every year. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if you remember this, but do we get 2 more in the playoffs, or is it unlimited in the playoffs that everybody can come back? Does it kind of reset? I can't remember the rule right now. It's fuzzy, but something changes.
Yeah.
We might get 2 more in the playoffs, or everyone that was injured in the regular season can come back. Either way, they could have used 2 IR designations on Curb already because it's been so long. And so my question for the medical staff is, and Dan and Brad, who the hell is giving you information and saying that Curb is going to be able to play in 4 weeks? or Curb is going to be able to play next week or in 2 weeks. Oh, we just need to monitor the situation and calm it down. It's been since week 6, right? He's missed 8 games. You could have put him on IR. To your point, you could have kept somebody instead of losing them. And add a minute. And they did the same crap with
But there's no time limit on how long Kirby could stay on IR.
Well, exactly. He could have been out for the rest of the season, or, they could have brought him back when he was fully healthy. But even looking at it from a 4-week thing, how do you go through 1 week and say, okay, it didn't work, he's not ready. Then you go through week 2 and you're like, it's not working. He's not nowhere close. And after 2 weeks, if he's not anywhere close to getting back, I would have said, okay, now we're going to IR, because if it's taking you 2 weeks and you haven't had any response, again, my question is for the medical staff and the doctors, who is giving you this information that is, number one, you missed it during the contract. You completely missed that his knee was shredded. Unless we're being fed, hook, line, and sinker here, and they're not giving us any information, which they really haven't. They really haven't even given us a full diagnosis, which I don't think they have to. I think that they just need to put an injury on the list, and there it is, right? Whatever they have to, give to the NFL is a little bit different. And whatever you get out of the player, well, that's different too. Or whatever you get out of the coach, which Dan has been pretty tight-lipped on the whole thing. So for me, you missed it during the contract negotiation, because there's no way you're gonna sell me ever that a knee just completely dissipated inside a few months. There would have had to have been a significant injury for that to happen. And if it's wear in cartilage like it's been projected, well, that just doesn't disappear. That is age, time, injury, consistent injections. The more and more you inject the knee with steroids, the more and more it's going to dilapidate and wither up that cartilage, right? It's going to get rigid over time, stiff, and it's not going to be as loose, right? One recommendation, don't do this. I'm not a doctor. Visit, get information from your own doctors. Shark cartilage, I've heard, has amazing benefits and qualities. I'm about to try it, that's why I say it. On your joints, taking the shark cartilage. Started in like China or Japan, and no, I don't want to kill sharks to get their cartilage. It's there's a certain way to do it. Anyway, to each their own. I guess I'm highly disappointed that the medical team has missed this, because this is not the only player. It happened with Mosley. Mosley was this huge mistake for 2 years, which you remember. I was definitive in my thought process when I said, forget that dude. I get it. He's a very low cap guy. He's a high risk, high reward guy. I wouldn't have done it. When you talk about injury prone guys that we were talking about yesterday and actually utilizing the definition of injury prone, that was Mosley. He had the same injury back to back. Right? Injury prone would have been Tim Patrick. So for all of the people out there saying, well, we should have kept Tim Patrick instead of Tesla, you need to eat your own words for a minute, because Tim Patrick was injury prone. So there's a few players that have been injury prone. Kirby Joseph has not been one of them. So the next question is, where do we go from here? What is next? And Thomas Harper, like I mentioned in the video last night, he's the only one that I really ever, really kind of spoke about. But him being able to come back this week after missing last week through concussion protocol, they kept him out. Smart move, right? Let's keep him healthy. So he'll be back. Levante Maddox is a good football player. He's not Kirby. He's not Brian Branch. He's a good football player. But both of those guys back in the backfield or the secondary, I'm better with. It's then Calvin Shepard changing up the scheme to say, okay, I don't have single man, or I don't have man single high safety like I did before. I don't have those type of quarter horses anymore, right? I don't. I don't have A players back there. I got B minus C plus players. So I can't play like I have DBs. I need to play like we need to protect ourselves. We're going up against a guy that can launch the ball. He has a couple of threats, in the receiver room. So they need to protect that, right? And yeah, do you want to get after the statue that Aaron Rodgers is? Probably. Do you want to rush the quarterback? Probably. But I would be more apt to protecting the back end than just getting after Aaron Rodgers because he's 63 years old and doesn't move, So what do we do? How do we get beyond this? We brought in Kazee. We brought in who's the other guy?
Kazee
and
Ryan Mills.
And then Jalen Mills.
Or Jalen Mills,
Yeah.
So here's a little thing for you.
Which both of those guys, Mills has a lot of experience.
Yeah, so I got a little something to go along with this. Last year, our defense was decimated, right?
Yeah.
Decimated. We lost more people than anyone, and same thing this year. We have more people missing than anyone else. So last year, we were so decimated everywhere, at cornerback, at edge, at everywhere on the defense. But the one thing we were not missing was at safety. We had Brian Branch and we had Kirby Joseph for basically every game last year. Okay, so if you go back to last year and you look at from November through the end of the season, we only gave up more than 40 points in one game on defense. And that was 48 points to the Buffalo Bills. And we lost that game 48-42. Okay. Every other game, the most points we gave up was 34 to the Packers on December 5th. Other than that, it was all, we gave up 14 to the Titans. We gave up 14 to the Packers. We gave up 23 to the Texans, 6 to the Jaguars, 6 to the Colts, 20 to the Bears, 31 to the Packers, then 42 to the Bills, and 17 to the Bears. So if you look at just the last couple of weeks here, this week we gave up 41 to the Rams, and last week we gave up 30 to the Cowboys, 31 to the Packers, 27 to the Giants. We're giving up so many more points, and I think it's because we don't have safeties this year. And like you said, they're trying to do too much of this single high safety stuff, and
we don't have the underneath, and we don't have the pass rush.
Yeah,
because we do have the pass rush, but it's late.
We can just never have it all together at the same time. And it how much better would this team be just if we just had the two safeties? If we just had our two top safeties, man, this is such a different team.
Yeah.
I don't think we have teams scoring 44 and 40 on us. 44 and 41 in the last two games.
You're gonna have one game here or there, right? You're like, it was the Bills last year. We expected either way with the Rams. You're gonna have that, but the Lions consistently giving up 33 points per game over the last 4 games. That is not acceptable. And if I'm the defensive coordinator, I'm looking at that with more of a fine-tooth comb to say, what am I doing wrong? Where am I giving up these plays? The easy answer for Calvin Shepard is to go up to the mic and say, well, we've got these players, they got to do their job, and they just got to perform, and we expect better. Calvin, great. They're not A players. They're not top tier. Yes, they are. They're in the NFL. They got to play to the NFL standard. The standard doesn't drop off. Calvin, that's not likely. All right, we can't be stubborn. See, where a lot of teams, and in my article about Dan talking about Sean Payton, let me get everybody ruffled real quick. You can't just expect the standard not to drop off. Okay, you don't have the players that were in your system for the entire season or seasons. You don't have the vocal leaders that were on your team for the last 3-4 years. They're all out. So you need to play to your strength. Whatever that is, and he would know that better than me because he's in practice every single day watching what these guys do. But you can't sit there and say, I'm going to hold you to the same standard that I held Kirby Joseph, to the same standard that I held Brian Branch, to the same standard that I held Terry and Arnold and DJ Reed. That can't exist. Now, the team standard, how you practice, how you perform, how you go about your business, that is one standard. Right? That's a part of it. But when it comes to the defensive strategy and the scheme and the coverages, that's a different standard altogether. You're trying to force a player that maybe doesn't do what Kirby does well, and then it's just going to fall apart on you. You need to play to their strength. You need to lighten the load. And what did he say 6 weeks ago? I'm going to let these guys just play. And when he did that, that was some of the best cornerback secondary play we've seen all season
against the Cowboys.
And now you're trying to force these guys to do what you want them to do when maybe that's not the style of play that they're playing well at right now. Clearly, 33 points a game isn't working. So go back to doing something that could work, right? Whatever you're doing, do the opposite, because it sucks right now. You know, when you were talking about having the guys last year and having the safeties up top, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, like, yeah, those were like, we had everybody, honestly. Our DBs were fairly healthy until, Carlton Davis went out with the broken jaw, and then, Meek obviously in the divisional game. But
yeah, but you even had...
But we had our top guys in the back.
But you had Anzalone with a broken arm for a bunch of games, and
yeah, but I'm just talking about the secondary. You brought up the secondary from last year, so they were playing better. We were still giving up some explosives, yes. But what I noticed is we were keeping things more underneath. We weren't giving up a bunch of big plays downfield all the time. You might get one here or there every few weeks, but in games that we've watched the last 4 weeks, I mean, how many plays are we giving up? 20, 18, 15 consistently, and it's either through the air, right, which is more hurtful than yak yards. Yak is bad, but if you're able to complete these big passes through the air, that tells me nobody's in position. We got players that are, on the opposite team that are running around with no coverage. So get back into some zone. You can still go man under. You can man up some guys. You can bracket some guys. You try to take away their threats, and that's how I would do a threat assessment, like I used to do for my previous careers. Threat assessment. Okay, who's your biggest threats? Let's take that away. And how can I take that away and limit my liability elsewhere? To Dan's point the other day, when you start to move things around and you take pressure off of one area, you're going to add pressure to another area. Okay, how do you lighten the load on that other area? For instance, if you go to a zone look, too high safety or a medium safety shell, whatever it is, two safeties, right? And then if you go to a little bit of zone, then you try to keep everything underneath you. You play off man. You don't play up, on the line unless you're bracketing where you can jam and then the guy over top can pick them up. Great. But what happens is you start to put a little bit more pressure on the defensive line. Okay, so how do you fix that? All right, well, defensive line, I'm not asking you to just run balls out and get after the quarterback. Nope, I want you to set a hard edge, control the run game. That's all I want you to do. Just control the run game. I don't care if you get a sack today. They'll come naturally. If you earn the opportunity to get one, take it. But if you set a hard edge and just control, because Aaron Rodgers ain't running. So just set the edge and control the run game. That will reverse the pressure that you now added by playing zone up top. In my opinion. Could be totally wrong. That's just what I've seen. It's just what I've seen with this team in what what we've done. So my question, Thomas, was you said something wasn't true or something. I have no idea what you're talking about.
No.
Yeah, you said something a while ago. Like if you guys put stuff in the chat and whether you're trying to, banter back and forth or disagree with something, make sure you actually put what it is. that I said or Eric said or whoever said, so we actually have a clue as to what you're talking about. Otherwise, don't have a clue. Let me create a poll real quick. Kind of switch topics. While I'm creating the poll, Eric, go ahead and finish your thoughts out on this.
Well, I got a little tidbit for you guys. So the Lions right now, even without Kirby, even without Brian Branch, where do you think the Lions rank in interceptions as a team right now? Where
I think we're.
Don't look it up. Don't look it up.
I know the answer.
Okay, what's the answer?
We were 6th yesterday.
No, we are 4th.
We're now 4th. Okay, great.
We are tied with the Steelers and Colts for 4th place. Okay, we have 12 right now. The Bears have 21, the Chargers have 17, the Rams have 13, and we have 12, as well as the Steelers and Colts.
And what's crazy is we've had one interception in the last 6 games?
Yeah,
something like that.
But now this is kind of my point. If you go back to the first 5 games of the year,
Kirby had 3.
Who was leading in,
Yep.
Kirby came out the gate and was leading the league in interceptions for a little while.
He had 3 in the first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then he's done.
And then nothing. So that tells you those guys together on the field was a much bigger deal than not having these guys. It's nuts how big of a difference just 2 players make, even when the rest of the defense is decimated. That's what I was trying to say about last year and this year. That just helps prove my point that those guys held it down last year for us during that critical run. And we don't have anyone to hold it down for us this year. And we are in a very critical run now. We have to win the next 3 games. We have to. Otherwise, we go from 40% to 1% chance if we lose any games in this 3-run stretch.
So to that point, right? Obviously when Kirby's in, we're getting more interceptions. And what happens is when you get stretched thin, for those that don't know or don't understand, how the defense can kind of have an ebb and a flow to it, which it always does. When you start missing big time players, your bigger playmakers, your ball hawkers, you can't just artificially make that up. And so when you lose somebody like Kirby and you lose somebody like Brian Branch, that more often than not, teams don't want to target. And those are the guys that you're looking to make big plays, come up with interceptions, pop the ball out, whatever, right? It's not like you can just insert somebody and say, okay, now go get the ball. Because what Kirby did when he would survey the field, I feel like he was always trying to get after the ball. And that is kind of what got him in trouble a lot. That is why we would have some big plays over top in single man or in single high. Because I felt like he was taking too many risks as opposed to just playing the field, making the decision to go on left or right. Who do I got to pick up? Where the ball? He was late often, getting to the other side. And we'd have, big plays going downfield, 30, 40, 50 yards, whatever it was. Not all the time, but often enough to where it was a problem. The point that I'm trying to make is when you start to miss some playmakers like that, it is hard to artificially create turnovers when you don't have that same style of player on the field anymore. So how do you do it, right? How do you create turnovers? Because if you start asking a guy that is not a tier 1 guy to start doing something that maybe takes his attention away from his job, well, then that could insert problems, right? You could take his attention away where now bigger plays are happening underneath. And you're giving up big plays because he's trying to ball hawk as opposed to just making the play. I don't care. I mean, yeah, we want turnovers, of course. Turnovers will help you more than not. They're a big key to every game. But if you are selling out to get a turnover, just like you could sell out to get sacks, you can create a whole hornet's nest of problems. So I don't want to see that either. I really don't. Poll question this morning. In 2023, Did the Lions make a mistake in 2023 by not firing Dan Campbell and not hiring Sean Payton? And the reason why I put this together, now, before you crucify me, I love Dan Campbell. I was never in the boat of firing Dan Campbell. But Eric, you know as well as I do that the Lions go 3-13-1, and then we start 1-6. And before Sheila Hamp came to the mic, a lot of people were screaming, "Fire Dan Campbell. Get him out of here." A lot of people. A large amount of people. And then she comes to the mic, she settles everybody down. But those same people are saying, it's just words, man. Nothing's going to change. Same old Lions. And then we go rip off a bunch of wins. And we finish 9-8, which is crazy.
After starting 1-6.
After starting 1-6. So the Lions essentially go 4-19-1. And then we start to rattle off some wins. And I think we went 8-2 to finish the season. And didn't we win like 7 in a row? Or something like that, or 6 in a row. It was some crazy number. I can't remember right now. So I'm asking the question because we've had this conversation a lot about F them picks. And if we're gonna talk about F them picks for an edge or a safety or a corner or a quarterback or whatever, right? This was in my inbox, and so. Public service announcement. I keep forgetting to say this. When I go all in and I start talking about Aiden, or I start like Dan Campbell and this article coming up, whoever it is, more often than not, I get an inbox just full of talk about this situation. Talk about Aiden. Where was Aiden in the last game? Why didn't Aiden do X, Y, and Z? Or Derek Barnes or whatever. Like I get tons of, and we haven't done, the mailbag. We haven't done any of that in a while. Gripes and hype. So I try to facilitate answering some of those questions and doing some of that in these segments. Now, yeah, some of it's my hard opinion too, mixed in with it, but I'm trying to do what people want me to do and answer the questions that people want me to answer. So you got to learn to take that with a little bit of, like a grain of salt here. I don't hate anybody. I literally, I do not hate my worst enemy. And I think you know who that is. I don't hate my worst enemy. I don't. There's too much love in my heart. I was brought up a different way. So I have zero hate. And just to put it out there, if I was a U of M diehard, and I'm giving the criticism that I'm giving, I don't think anyone would be saying the crap that they're saying. Calling me a Hutch hater. Because, put it this way, my intro video, or my hype video, why would it be about Aiden? Have you ever noticed that? Here, take a listen.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
There you go. It's all about Aiden in the beginning. I could have went with any different audio, but instead we went with Aiden. What were you going to say?
I don't remember now.
I'm getting a little feedback. Are you hearing any feedback?
No.
All right, because I dialed my mic way up, and I think it's a little high.
Oh, might be.
I'll tone it down a little.
So I found a very, very interesting stat about this year's Detroit Lions squad. Since I was looking up interceptions, I looked up turnovers. Guess what team is number one with the least amount of turnovers on offense in the NFL right now?
Say that one more time.
What team has the least amount of turnovers this season in the NFL?
The least? Well, it's not us.
The least amount of... Who has the least? Who's number one with the least amount of turnovers on offense this year?
So who's... Oh, on offense. Okay.
Yeah.
That would be us. I thought you were talking about turnovers like interceptions and fumbles and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, turnovers. The Lions offense leads the league with 8 turnovers. Only 8. And
No.
we've lost 3 fumbles and we've had 5 interceptions.
Okay.
So that's pretty darn good.
Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, I think that we need to kind of state that a little bit differently. The turnover margin, where do the Lions rank in turnover margin, right?
Here, I can look.
The plus in mind. No, I know. It's we are 20th, I think. 20th best, not 20th worst. 20th best. So we'd be in the top 10. Like Chicago's number 1. They're plus. This doesn't make any sense because it says New York Jets are minus 17, but they're number 2. That doesn't make any sense to me. Defensive interceptions, the Lions right now are 10th with 12. Fumble recoveries, the Lions are 25th with 5. And the Lions are 9th, with on the plus minus in turnovers. We are 9th with 9, plus 9. We're not giving the ball away, is what you're trying to say, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're not giving the ball away
8 times all season. 5 interceptions and 3 fumbles. That's it on the entire season. Our offense, for all of its
Issues,
issues,
which we really don't have issues. I mean, scoring 34 points a game is not,
Well, there's a couple of issues. Okay, our offensive line is not blocking like they did last year. I get it. We got a couple of rookies in there, basically, and we've had a who's who at left guard. Second, we just can't seem to get our run game to have 2 good games in a row since the bye. It's been every other week. So every other week, Jahmyr Gibbs has gone from 0 touchdowns to 3 touchdowns to 0 touchdowns to 3 touchdowns. So last week he had 0. So this week he should have 3 if he stays on this same current trajectory. He should have 3 touchdowns this week. So you'll see tomorrow. That might be one of my bold takes for tomorrow. And it's kind of a he's due game, right?
Right. He's well, yeah, he has to be due. He has to have a big game. One more thing I forgot to touch on here is, and then I'm going to go through the chat and find some questions in there. If you want to look right now, Eric, and kind of wind back like 10, 12 minutes and see if there's any questions that we missed. We're going to try to get to all your questions as much as we can. Kirby Joseph's contract. Okay, so I got burned at the stake last spring, when I came out and said that Kirby Joseph should be traded. And again, it wasn't from a place of hate. It was from a place of fact. And the facts were Kirby Joseph just had one of the best seasons ever for any safety to play the game in the entire history of the NFL. The fact is that usually is not replicatable. When is the last time a safety or any DB has had back-to-back seasons with more than 9 interceptions in a season? I don't think it's ever happened, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's happened a few times. The point is, even if it's happened 10 times over the life of the NFL, that is extremely rare. And so the odds on, bet would be that it won't happen again. The fact was the ether was extremely high on Curb. Any team would have wanted him. All 31 teams wanted him. But there's only 28 teams that, or 28 teams that I would have dealt him to. And then even then, there might have only been 24 teams that I would have let him go to. The Lions easily could have taken that 3rd round pick that they spent on Kirby Joseph back in 2020. Was it 21, 22? And they could have turned it into a 1st round pick and potentially a later round pick. I would have done it. Like I said, I would have saved the $20 million a year, and I would have upgraded by grabbing another first round pick, and I would have gone out and found the best safety. There's a reason why I wanted some of the safeties in this draft. They were really good. I haven't gone to look at how all of them are playing this year, but I have a feeling a couple of them are playing pretty well. So that's what I would have done. Now, hitting the ground this year to start the season, yeah, it would have been different. Or would it have been? The Lions could have found somebody playing alongside Brian Branch. You could have had a very successful season. So I mentioned all of that in the spring. Nobody else wanted to talk about it. They just said I was nuts. You don't trade Kirby Joseph. And when you look at what the Lions do when they draft, develop, re-sign, and that's how you build your team, I'm 100% on board with that. But when you start looking at the future, your ability to draft well, how much cash you don't have, the players that you're looking to sign, again, expecting Aiden was going to get re-signed, and that was going to be a massive deal. I wasn't in favor of that either because it was too much money. I would be more of a strict general manager when it came to building my team, keeping my team flush with youth in really good football players and high draft picks. So yeah, you pay a lot of money drafting guys in the top 10. But more often than not, those players become really good football players. But then again, you can't expect every first round draft pick to work out because that just doesn't happen. Can't expect every second or third or fourth round pick to work out because it doesn't happen. But that's what I would have done. Now, I can't say on hindsight that I would have done that. You know why, Eric? Because I said it before the season started. I said it before he had his injury.
Yeah.
That's why. So foresight, whatever you want to call it, it was more of a move to keep the team young, retain some cash, add some draft picks, keep building. Great season, Curb. We can't repay you. Like we can't. Because we have other things that we need to do. But they didn't do that. So let's talk about his contract for a brief moment. Unlike some of the other contracts that Brad has done, I mean, this one's not terrible. It's $86 million over 4 years, which is an APY of $21.5 million. You got a $10 million signing bonus, and you had guaranteed at sign $24.381 million for a total guarantee of $36.121 million. If Kirby Joseph does not work out and the Lions had to release him, which something tells me they won't do, at least not right now, maybe next spring, depending on how things work out for him, that could be on the table. What would happen to his contract? How much would the Lions lose? Well, I'll tell you right now. If the Lions were to release him post June 1st, they would... Jesus. This can't be right. This can't be right. It's saying that he would be $16.87 million dead money in 2026 on a post-June 1 release, and then $73.226 million in dead money. That saying that we would lose $67 million. That doesn't make any sense to me. If you do it pre-June 1, oh, I know why. Because of the rest of the way that the contract hits. You'd have to do it before June 1st of next year. Because after June 1st, I think everything else becomes guaranteed. So if you do it before June 1st of next year, the Lions would stand to lose $24.59 million. Plus whatever they've paid him now. So let's just go to 2025. Let's just say that they released him right now. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense either. I think this is wrong. Because what's the difference between a post-June 1 release in 2025 versus a pre-June release in 2026? There's no difference. The only difference is the league year. So if the Lions did release them next year, they would stand to lose a total cap hit of $30.4 million rounding up. Is that too much to lose, Eric?
Yeah.
For what he's given you, 5 years of service.
Yeah. we're stuck with him. He's not going to be able to be cut or go anywhere. Nobody's going to want to trade for him. We're just going to have to hope we can get him fixed up and get him back working again. We have to hope he's a Christian McCaffrey type deal where he can go to Germany and maybe get something done that he couldn't get done here in the United States, and get himself fixed up and back on the field.
Okay, so taking into consideration that $8 million of this was part of his signing bonus, it actually would be about $22.4 million that the Lions would stand to lose by releasing him post June 1st of next year. So what does that do for the Lions? Here's what it does. That gives him till June, May 30th or whatever. It gives him between now and May 30th to go get treatment, to have cleanup surgeries, whatever it is that he needs to get done, and to hit the field. Go through some OTAs, do some workouts. I don't really know or remember the legalities of what the Lions can force him to do or ask him to do when the season ends, and then when the new season starts. I don't know what they're allowed to do. I don't know if they can force him to come in, if they can force him to do workouts. I have no idea. I would say it's probably whatever's in his contract that is going to encumber that. I'm good with it. Like if you have to move on from him, you have to move on. But that gives the Lions enough time. Here's what I'm going to say definitively about Brad Holmes. If you fumble this one, it's going to look really bad. And by fumbling, meaning if you keep him around and you pay him $86 million and he doesn't play but 20 games over the next 3 seasons, that will look way worse than eating $22 million next year, releasing him by June 1, and you take your lumps, right? I know if you play the game of, the free agencies and, losing players and getting, I don't know how it works if you're going to get comp picks back. No idea. I have no idea how that really works. It is such a weird formula. I don't know how it works if you release a player that's under contract. It probably doesn't have anything to do with it, honestly. But I'm good with it. If the Lions release them and you save $60 million, I'm good with that. That's how I look at it. I'd rather save that money that you can then invest somewhere else. That's signing probably Laporta to his entire deal, saving that money. Let's talk about Laporta for a brief minute. How confident are you in Laporta right now for next year with a back injury?
No clue. Because he had surgery.
Another Levi situation.
Yeah, but did Levi have surgery?
Yeah.
Did he?
He had fusion. He had fusion dissectomy and
is that what Sam Laporta had also?
As reported, I believe he had the lumbar fusion.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not super confident. We might have to go out and draft another friggin' tight end.
Oh, we're definitely gonna have to draft another tight end.
Well, we got caught with our pants down this year. Sam Laporta was it. Brock Wright, he was supposed to be our backup, and he's out. We're not gonna have him back next year.
Why?
He's not in contract next year, is he?
Yeah.
I thought it was just through this year.
No, we signed him for 3 years. Remember, like that signing was looking better and better because of the way that things were going down.
Oh, okay.
Let me go back and look at his deal real quick.
I thought this was the last year.
No, I thought next year was. I mean, then 3 years went by really fast, and
yeah,
like I said, that I was making some food yesterday, and I put a 35-minute timer. Like sidebar, hold on. I put a 35-minute timer on the stove. I came out here to do something, and it literally just started going off, like what I thought was a minute later. And I like, Megan, like, was that 35 minutes? Where was the 35 minutes? I literally walked out to the studio and had to turn right around and go right back. Like, where did the time go?
Yeah.
Like, time just flies right now, especially when you get older. Brock Wright is under contract through 2026. He becomes a unrestricted free agent in 2027. So when they signed Brock Wright to that deal, I mean, I wasn't extremely happy about it because of the amount of money that it was, but that is looking like a smarter contract as time goes on because he's been, pretty healthy, pretty stable, damn good blocker. And I remember vividly what happened when he dove, landed on his neck. And those of you that were in the live stream, I'm like, why the hell would you do that? Now he popped back up and continued to play. And I said, that's like season ending stuff. Like you're going to hurt yourself. And then the next day it's like, oh, throat injury or whatever they called it, right? He had a esophagus injury or neck injury, whatever they were calling it. And then he's done. Can't be doing. That's why, like, when I see J-Mo flying into the end zone and doing flips, it's like, come on.
Yeah,
like, just stop this stuff. You guys need to play. We're not here to do flips. You want to do that? Go join a circus. This isn't a circus. Go join what's it out in Vegas? Cirque du Soleil. Right? This is football. This isn't gymnastics.
Yeah.
Because what Brad has to do is now called roster gymnastics. And that is difficult. You keep putting all this stuff on Brad Holmes, and again, I'm gonna back Brad Holmes into a corner and give him all of his flowers times 10 because of what he's been able to put on this field after dealing with 38 injuries in 2 seasons. Like y'all should be monkey swinging from his ball sack. Okay? Because he's doing everything and anything he can to produce a team that can make the playoffs, play at a high level, have one of the best offenses in the league, and some damn good defensive players that were one of the best defenses before the bye week happened. I don't know what happened in the bye week, man. I really don't. It's like they all just got together and said, yeah, we did good enough. We'll just take the rest of the season off.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and we're in first place. Let's just give it away.
Doesn't make any sense.
Had a 4-game win streak. That's it. Then it's been every other game the whole rest of the season.
Yeah.
So, I don't even care about the whole haven't lost 2 games in a row. If you can't string 2 wins in a row, you ain't going to do nothing. You need 7 in a row right now. 7. We haven't won 7 in a row since last year.
I mean, I just want to win 2 or 3 in a row.
Yeah, but we need to win 7 in a row.
Well, we do. And you know what? We haven't had a big, like you said, we haven't strung together a lot of games. Well, this is the time to do it. How crazy is it going to be if Matthew Stafford goes and wins his second Super Bowl and then rides off to the sunset?
I won't root for him this time. I'll root for whoever he plays against.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm bitter, dude.
I'm still partial to the NFC.
I am too. And, I love Matt Stafford. Don't get me wrong. But he got his. It's time for somebody else. I would rather see, I don't know. Who's doing well in the NFC right now?
I'm glad you guys are all laughing this morning. I need you to laugh a little bit. Because, sometimes things are just laughable. And as Lions fans, we've been just beat and beat and beat and kicked and beat. And that's in my article, by the way. Coming up talking about Dan Campbell and Sean Payton. Sean Payton, he made a cameo in the article. So that's why I put the poll question. Wow, 6%. 52 votes say the Lions made a mistake in not firing Dan Campbell for Sean Payton.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to touch on that when we get back. Eric, anything you got to say before we take a minor break?
Yeah, so my 3D printer did get shipped. So I will be 3D printing a bathtub here very soon, and we are going to exercise these demons. But my Lions just need to come through this week, and we need to win this week. So I will exercise the curse of no wins in a row. So I'm going to exercise the 7 wins in a row uncurse. That's what I'm going to do with the bathtub when my printer gets here sometime next week.
You know what? It was Cuddy Shark, right? That was the whiskey.
I don't know. We're going to find out.
No, it is. And they believe it's Cuddy Shark. So let me text my guy.
We got to find a bottle from 1958 or whatever.
Well, no, you're not going to find that. But I mean, and if you do, it's probably going to cost a couple grand.
It can't be that much.
Oh, from a bottle that old, that aged?
Yeah, an old one. Somebody's got one sitting around.
No. Look, I don't think they've changed the label.
Cuddy Sark.
Sark, yeah.
Can you buy that at a liquor store? I don't drink, so.
Yeah, you can buy. That's why I'm texting my buddy that owns a store.
Yeah, we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna exercise this demon. We're gonna get 7 games in a row.
Can you Oh, there you go. That should be the first thing we make, a 3D printed knee that says Kirby on it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is so bad. That is so bad. Curb, look, I love you, dude. Like, there's no hate in my heart for you, man. There's not. It's just business, you know?
Yeah.
I just want him to get healthy. I hope to God he plays this week. But I above all else, it's like, I get the pain. I understand it. You want him to be healthy and not have to go through the pain. But I don't know. I guess there's a stark difference between us talking here on this podcast versus what other people are saying. And I'll never understand hate. I don't get it. All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, I want to take a brief gander through the chat and find some questions that we missed. We'll start doing that every day, right around the 9 o'clock hour. So if you've got questions, if we missed them, put them in the chat in caps right now. Be right back.
Yeah. On my phone was Peyton Manning. He said, Jeff, I feel your pain. Will you join me in exorcising the curse of Bobby Lane? Just like that, we started winning. Just like that, we were playoff bound. Just like that, way up in heaven, Bobby Lane turned around. Say goodbye to all that sorrow. Say goodbye to all that pain. Say goodbye.
All right, quick break there. Let's get into the chat, answer a few questions this morning. First one up. There's a rumor out there that the Lions went cheap on assistant coaches' pay. Any insight on this rumor? Well, Peter, I would say this. how do they know how much these assistants were paid? So I'm going to answer a question with a question. How do they know?
And who put out this rumor?
Well, that's the other thing. I can tell you that there's, people that just lie for a living, it seems like. But Lions assistant salaries are, any NFL team assistant salaries are typically not known. None of them. They're not printed. So unless they come out and tell you what they made or what they're making, nobody knows. So how would they know? Like, just finding Dan Campbell's salary was hard enough. Go find Brad Holmes' salary. Do you know what that is? I certainly don't. And stuff's not known. And the reason why is because it's not part of the salary cap, so it doesn't have to be known. Contracts for coaches, head coaches, assistant coaches, positional coaches, coordinators, general managers, assistants, scouting department, all that stuff. Admin team is not known because it's not something that has to be printed, unlike salaries for the players, because there's a salary cap. There's no salary cap for what is considered overhead. So I would say, one, I couldn't answer it definitively with an answer because I don't know how much that they were paid or being paid. Number two, nobody knows unless they've been told by a specific individual. And there again, I would even call that into question. Casey Rogers is not going to come out and say, yeah, this is how much I'm making. Hank Fraley is not going to come out and say, this is how much I'm making. And so if we're talking about coordinators and positional coaches versus assistants, I would say that your assistant coaches, if you look, as an average, assistant coaches, not positional coaches, make somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 to 350,000 per year across the league. Positional coaches range. Some probably make in that neighborhood of 350 up to maybe $1 million, $1.5 million a year. Coordinators. There's been some coordinators that have made crazy good money. But I would say, the average offensive coordinator salary is probably in that 1.5 to 3.5 area. Same for defensive coordinator. But you will have some outliers. You will have some coordinators that are making more than head coaches. I do know this. Sean Payton, the highest paid head coach in the league at $16 million when he started, ballooned up to $18 million a year. Dan Campbell, $11 million. There's not one coach, assistant coach, coordinator that's making more than Dan Campbell is on this team. And that would be a guess, but I'm pretty confident. As far as Brad Holmes goes, no clue how much he's making. No clue. That's like saying, I would have no clue how much Chris Spielman's making or Rod Wood. So unless you can get your hands on their financials, which is not going to happen, whoever put that out is full of shit. It was probably just a clickbait article or whatever.
He said it was the Detroit Lions podcast.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Who's on that? I don't know.
Who's the Detroit Lions podcast?
I don't know who's on it.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. We got one here from Joe Gracia.
Hold on, is that Risden?
Oh, the Detroit Lions podcast.
Yeah, is it that one with Risden?
Is it Risden or Rieger or?
Yeah, come on.
One of them guys. Yeah.
Look, he may be closer to this. I don't even see Risden doing much. I don't even see him around the team.
He's been really quiet this year.
He's been quiet for a long time.
Yeah.
But I would say this: you may be intimately close with the team. That doesn't mean that you're going to know this information. And unless an assistant's coming up to you and saying, "Hey, we're all underpaid, so we're just not going to perform." Like, what would their salary have to do with anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the performance. If that's what we're trying to get at, it has nothing to do with their performance. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So Joe Gracia says, do you think we should have Gibbs and Monty on the field at the same time?
Oh,
I
yeah.
say yes, and I think it should happen more. I think that should be our base offensive look, is those two both in the backfield on each side of Goff, whether it's in shotgun or under center.
I mean, you guys know me by now. I mean, this is something that, Joe, I don't know how often you've been in recently, but welcome in. Good to see you in here. That question has been a statement for me for weeks. And I know that Eric, like he just said, he feels the same way. But for me, it comes from a schematic advantage. If you have both of those guys in the backfield, well, yeah, it does reduce one of your weapons on the outside. However, does it? No.
It
Because
basically takes Tesla off the field.
yeah, but so where I'm going with this is, or if we had our tight ends, then yeah, things would change. But if you have Monty and Gibbs in the backfield, well, now the defense doesn't know who's getting the ball, right? So if you're going to utilize play action, you can fake it to Monty or Gibbs. They're going to bite on Gibbs for sure. But you can also now take Gibbs and throw him up in the slot and go in motion, right? And then now you've added that weapon, and Jahmyr Gibbs in the slot is a huge weapon. So I'm not saying have them back there all the time, but more often, yes, I would want to see, and we did see it a little bit in the Rams game. I got super excited during the game, and I'm like, oh my God, they're listening. They're finally doing it. And then it didn't go as planned, but yeah, I think it is a schematic advantage because you could disguise a lot of what you're doing. And then if you're going to drop back and pass out of that look, and you've thrown Gibbs into motion, well, then you have Monty back there to pick up the blitz. The problem is Monty's been terrible at blocking. Absolutely terrible. He has missed so many blocks. He's barely slowing anybody down, and it's not like he's releasing and going out for a pass either. He's not. He's just missing blocks. So that has to get cleaned up. But yeah, to answer the question and not go crazy deep into it, yes. I do want to see them back there more often. I think it helps you in play action. It helps you in shotgun looks. It helps you with disguising. It helps you with all kinds of stuff. Maybe we'll see it more. I don't know. Remember, if it's not in caps, I'm probably going to skip right by it. If you're looking to ask a question, please put it in caps. Mr. Thomas says, do you think that Decker should retire? And be honest. Well, I'm always honest. As much as I can be honest. I think he should next year. And I think that was probably the plan anyway. That he's played 10 seasons now in the league?
Yeah.
If they don't win a Super Bowl this year, I'm sure he would love to play again. If somehow Frank Ragnow comes back next year, he'll play again. If Frank's not coming back next year, he's done. I don't think Frank's coming back next year. I'll be honest about that. But yes, I would love to see the Lions go out and settle up that position. However, it really depends on what the Lions do in the draft and free agency. And I'm not saying like if they go out and get a top tier left tackle in free agency, that then he should retire. No. If they go out and get a top tier center and Frank Ragnow's not coming back, then I'd probably want Decker around one more year. He's been battling. He has one shoulder. He has half a body. He has half his strength. At least that's what was reported early, and I can't imagine that it's gotten better. So if you're only playing with strength in one arm and you have no strength in that shoulder, which essentially controls your arm, it's pretty tough to be great. Now, he hasn't been horrible, but he hasn't been great either. And we need a dominant left tackle. You know, I want to see a left tackle that, you know, you see it, you know, around the league where, you know, like a Tristan Wirfs or whoever that, you know, they're just not allowing pressures and sacks. You know, I get it. You'll have a couple a year, but you're going to pay a guy top tier money. I don't want to see, I don't want to see, you know, these guys giving up a bunch of free runs to Jared Goff. What do you think, Eric?
I got kind of pissed off about a week or so ago because the Detroit Free Press decided they wanted to ask Taylor Decker during the middle of a season if he's going to retire at the end of the year. This is, to me, a conversation to be had after the year because he's been hurt all season long. He's been a warrior. He has not been that bad this year. The Lions have had 28 sacks this year. They're ranked 22nd in the league for the most sacks. So we're not giving up a super ton of sacks every single game. It's not like Decker's been an open door, just letting everybody go through. He's had some pretty good games. He's had some not subpar games. And for some reason, the Lions still continue to try to run over that left side every single week, and it drives me nuts. They average like 2 to 3 yards over the left side, and they average like 9 to 10 yards on the right side. So I would much rather be running behind Penei Sewell than versus running behind Taylor Decker right now. But like you said, he's got a bum shoulder. So in the offseason, he can go get this surgery done, get it fixed, go through rehab, get ready for the season. He can see if he's still got it in him to get through it. But he can have the surgery and he can get through most of his rehab before the Lions have to make a decision to bring somebody in the draft or not this year to replace him at left tackle. And I think he can give the team enough time and let them know what's going on, but he's got to go get fixed. Or maybe he doesn't need surgery. Maybe he just needs time off and let it heal. You know, I went through a shoulder surgery just last year myself, and it's a pain in the butt, and it's never the same afterward. So I don't know if surgery is the answer or not the answer. Maybe letting it heal would be the answer, but with me, it wasn't the answer. I let mine go for 3 years, and it never got any better. It only got worse. So having surgery did help me, but it's just never the same. I'm never going to be 100% again. I'm going to be 85% for the rest of my life. So Taylor Decker at 85%, is that better than a rookie at 100%? I don't know. And that's a question that Taylor Decker is going to have to answer for the Detroit Lions. But I don't think he's going to be able to know anything until we get to the offseason. Let him finish the year first before we stick a fork in him.
I would say this to answer your thought. There is a rookie at 100% better than a Taylor Decker at 80%. There's no denying the fact that experience will always outweigh ability. And the reason why I say that is because the smarter you are, the more that you know, especially as an offensive lineman, the time that you've had in the league going up against, you know, all sorts of defenses and blitzes and the unique disguises and things that they're doing, that only comes with time. And a rookie is going to have to learn all of that. From a strength perspective, I would say, no, a rookie that is, you know, strong, obviously young, youthful, has, you know, youthful joints. Yeah, you can't replace that in a 10-year-old vet that's had his body beaten into the dirt. But what I would say is, from an experience factor, I would take Decker 10 out of 10 days. But from a youth and strength factor, I would take the rookie. It's just how soon is that rookie going to get up to speed? You don't generally see rookie left tackles or right tackles, for that matter, have great, successful rookie seasons. It's few and far between. takes him a couple of years because it's learning the system and it's, you know, getting rushed by Jared Verse a few times or whoever to, you know, finally kind of figure out what's going on. So I would say I would love to have a rookie, but it's not going to be better than I think what Taylor Decker could do mentally. Physically, yes, it would be better. Hopefully we answered the question. As far as him retiring, I think it's inevitable.
I think Attila the Hun just brought something up. Is Frazier more of a tackle than a guard?
Yeah, okay. So I've seen this floated too, where people are thinking that Frazier, I mean, Frazier can play both, but let me ask you this question. What is the prototypical size of a left tackle?
6'7", 300 pounds.
Okay. So he meets, and it's not 6'7", I'd say 6'5" and up, 6'5.5" and up.
Yeah.
Definitely need long arms. He meets the size requirement, right? He's 6'6", 325 pounds. It's a big dude. So he meets the size requirement. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. When you go back and look at his draft profile, let me see if I still have it. Let me see if I still have it. Oh, I just want his overview of his snaps. So if you go back and look at his draft profile, he's got good weight. He can always add more weight. He's got smaller hands at 9 inches. He's got short arms, 32 3/4. So he's a guard all day to me. To be a left tackle, I'm sorry, you got to have at least 33 3/4 inch arms. At least 34 and up would be great. With 33 3/4, I get it. You say, well, Will, it's just an inch. Well, he's got 9-inch hands. So it's more than just an inch. And then you have to factor in his ape score, his wingspan, and all that good stuff. So let me kind of give you, if I were to look at just numbers without looking at film, and if I were to grade right now, how does Frazier fit for me as a potential at any tackle position? Well, he's 6'6" as reported, so that's what, 78 inches. And you're going to take his wingspan, which is 80 5/8. You can divide that by 78 inches. 78 inches divided by 80 5/8 is not good. It's not good. His ape index is 1.03. And most elite left and right tackles have an ape index over 1.06. The average in the NFL is 1.05. So he doesn't quite meet it. And I know you're splitting hairs, right? Well, you're splitting hairs. It's an inch. It's just a couple of, hundredths of a percent. It matters. Because remember, that ape index is from the center of your breastplate to the tip of your finger, your middle finger, or whatever finger's longest for you. Typically, it's a middle finger. So if you can't get long with that arm, right, and you can't pitter-pat these defensive ends, right, long stab arm, and keep them away from you, or be able to get them engaged and lock in on them and extend your arms, I'll use Aiden as an example. His ape index is under 1, which is the worst in the league. And then he has shorter arms, I think 32 1/8. Well, now that left tackle or right tackle that has 1.5 inches of arm length, maybe another inch in finger length, and then they have a wingspan, which means they're broader from the chest plate to the shoulder, or to right here on the armpit. Their chest is wider. Aiden has a narrow chest. He doesn't have a big broad chest. He has a narrow chest. So the wider you are and the wider you can get, the longer you can get, the easier it is to engage and not allow that defensive end to disengage by using their arms. So throughout scouting school, we go through all that stuff. Some of the other stuff that I bring to light are things that I have researched on my own, things that I look at, which is ape index. You don't hear anybody talking about this. So yeah, it does matter. And I would say no. I'd say he's a guard. Can he play left tackle or right tackle in a pinch? Yes, he can. He absolutely can. But I would say at that size, man, that's a big guard. I love it. I love him as a guard. So that was a long way of saying no. I see him. I see him as a guard.
I do see him playing right guard or left guard next season. I think it's going to be Mahogany, Frazier, and Ratledge in the middle. I think they're going to move Ratledge over to center, and then you're going to have Penei Sewell, and the only question is Decker on the left side. And there, your offensive line just needs some depth, and maybe you bring in a brand new left tackle, and left tackle is what you take in the draft. And whether you have Taylor Decker here or not doesn't make a difference. You have his replacement. That's the next one in line to be done. And maybe Decker makes it another year or two. That's fine. You got your new guy, you bring him in along. And if Decker gets hurt or he's not having the greatest of games, you can switch him at any time. So if I had to guess right now what the Lions are going to take with their first pick in the NFL draft in Pittsburgh in 2026, my biggest pick would be left tackle.
It's a little early for me to kind of figure out where they're going to go in the first round, quite simply because I don't know where they're going to end up picking, even though I have a feeling that they're going to be, let's just say, bottom 12. If they're closer to 20, that is a better left tackle. If they're further away from 20, it's a great center.
Well, the one thing that sucks this year is there's no quarterbacks in the draft. This is another.
Oh, there's some quarterbacks.
They're already talking about how it's kind of a shitty year for quarterbacks.
Just depends on who stays. Yeah,
at the top of the draft is what I'm saying. So there's not there's not going to be 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round this year.
And you're not saying the Lions are taking a quarterback. I think what you're saying is you're going to see players moving up into the draft as opposed to quarterbacks going.
Yes, and what are the biggest needs for most teams? It's left tackle, right tackle, the big boys up front. That's what
trenches,
they're going to be taking.
Trenches and quarterback.
The trenches, and that's what's going to go first. And I have a feeling this is going to be a big year for linemen, especially high in the draft, up near the top.
So the question on Mahogany.
Yeah.
To kind of do a comparative analysis here. Mahogany's a guard center. He's got great center size at 6'3", 327 pounds. He's a load, right? As far as his arm length in that, I don't have my draft profile in front of me, but he has 10.5-inch hands. He has 33.5-inch arms. He's 6'3", 320 pounds, 327, 325. It just depends on where you look, right? I don't have his wingspan in front of me, but I would say this. Mahogany kicking out to left tackle in a pinch would be a better move for me than putting Frazier out there because he has the longer arms, longer hands, and he can move. Right, he's pretty fleet of foot. Where are we going to put all of these guys? So if Ratledge stays at right guard, now it's between Frazier and Mahogany at left guard. If nobody is going to take the center position out of those 3, you could have Mahogany and Ratledge taking snaps. I would expect that. You still have Giovanni Manu at left tackle next year. I'm not saying he's the answer. I think that boils down to snaps. He needs a ton of snaps and a ton of work. And with Taylor Decker out of the fold, he's going to ramp up quickly. That'll be his third season, and I think that Manu could start to take off. You got to remember that Manu is massive. He's like a redwood tree out there, long arms, long legs, thick tree trunk legs. He anchors well.
What would you think about putting Manu at center?
Oh, hell no. He's too big.
Why is he too big?
You can't have a center that's 6'8".
Why not?
How's Jared Goff going to throw the football over him? Centers are never tall.
No,
Ever. They usually have the shortest arms on the offensive line, and they're usually the shortest player on the offensive line comparatively or comparably to everybody else. I'm not saying that there's never been a 6'6" center. There has been, I'm sure. It's just I got allergies today. It's just that you need a throwing lane, and your throwing lane is directly in front of the center and then the guards. I mean, that's the span. That's why Caleb Williams struggles. So Caleb Williams being at 6'1", that's why he struggles throwing the ball through the middle of the field. He throws more outside because he has to get around. He has to get around the tackle height and the guard height. So he's got to find a lane, and that puts him to the boundary more often, as opposed to being able to hit some of the stuff in the center because the guys are too tall. And when that offensive line spreads out and they're picking up their assignments, if you notice, they start to spread out a little bit. Well, they're picking off all of his throwing lanes.
yeah.
So, I would say the Mahogany has an opportunity to take some snaps at center. I don't think he has in his career. Go ahead. You're gonna say something?
Well, with Manu, isn't his ape score like off the charts for a tackle?
Yeah, you're gonna make me pull this up. Hold on.
Because Manu is a physical specimen, dude.
He is. And I get it. He's not ready right now.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying he's the answer at left tackle, but he's a stopgap.
Strides.
Yeah,
He's made big strides from where he was, but it just hasn't happened fast enough. I'll admit that. I love Manu. I think he was a great pick where we picked him because.
Well, it's like the Broderick Martin conversation all over again.
Kind of, but this guy has elite world-class physical traits.
Yes.
If he can put the physical and the mental together and play American football instead of Canadian football, my God, you could have one of the best left tackles ever created. It's like his body was created in a lab to be a left tackle. It really is. And early in the year, when Decker went out, Manu did start a game this year. Now, it didn't go so hot for him, but that was his first feet to the fire that he's ever had. That was his first snaps in the NFL. And I was so proud of him for what he did and how he got in there and handled himself.
He banged up his knee in that game.
Yeah. And he even said, I didn't play good enough. But how many people get one chance in the NFL? One, to play a game and don't have their best game ever. That's probably 99% of people that get one shot to play one game in the NFL. They probably didn't play their best game ever. Now, you give them 5, 6, 7, 8 games, maybe they put one good one together. It takes time in the NFL, and you have to get live bullets thrown at you. Just seeing some snaps in the preseason or seeing snaps in training camp, it's not the same. When the bullets are flying in the regular season, it is a different animal. So for Manu to need a little seasoning, I'm not worried about it.
Just needs a little salt and pepper, man.
Yeah.
A little salt and pepper. All right. So since you were bringing up all these measurements, let me just we'll go off on a tangent for just a moment.
All right.
Okay, so Eric, you remember seeing what I'm about to show.
I'm Eric. Gino says, Eric, you're starting to sound like Chris Collinsworth talking about Patrick Mahomes.
Well, what is that? I have to make that make sense for me.
Because Collinsworth loves Mahomes. Never stops talking about him.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, you do love me some Manu.
I love Manu. I even have a Manu jersey. Come on, man. Hey, I have a Matu Betts jersey. I bet you guys don't have one. Yeah. I'm wearing a Derek Barnes jersey today. I bet you nobody out there has one of those either.
I'm sure,
I love
I'm
all
sure,
the
I'm sure a
players on
lot
the
of
line.
people have them, but yeah, to your point,
Everybody's
I
got a
don't-
Gibbs.
don't
Everybody's
have
got a
one.
JMO. Everybody's got a Goff. I got lots of those too, but I have a lot of the other players that are lesser known on the Detroit Lions, not the superstars. I'm always rooting for the underdog players, man. I just that from being, yeah, I have a Broderick Martin jersey. Yeah, there you go. And he got cut. I have a Hendon Hooker jersey. He got cut.
Yeah, it's
You
because
know?
you bought their jerseys. They got cut. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, you bought their jerseys, so they ended up sucking.
Yeah, it's my fault. Yeah, and I ate SpaghettiOs yesterday, so that's why the Lions lost last week.
Did you really eat
Come on.
SpaghettiOs?
No, I'm just
So
saying
we're gonna have to have a
ridiculous.
real conversation if you ate SpaghettiOs yesterday.
I don't eat SpaghettiOs. No, if I was in a survival situation, maybe.
I mean, I would eat bat poop if I had to.
Yeah, do whatever I got to do to survive in a survival situation. But yeah, McDonald's and SpaghettiOs and that kind of stuff. No.
Yeah, I can't do it either. I get nauseous when I mean, Culver's is about the best
Yeah, we're getting a Culver's.
best fast food that I eat, are about the only.
Yeah.
All right, I'm fixing something so that I can actually put this on the screen. All right, so
there you go.
Eric knows this from last year. We were doing the draft live in Green Bay, and we had all sorts of trouble with things not working, and so it was kind of hard for me to show everything that I put together and to go through everything. But at the end of the day, I think I did a pretty good job with trying to manage it. We did a good job trying to manage it.
Yeah.
And the most important thing was really just being able to kind of talk about some of my picks. So right there, these were just, why is it not letting me roll right? Hold on. There we go. There's my top guards from last year going into the draft. So this is what my draft sheets kind of start looking like before the draft. And those are my top guards. Those are based on my grades from the system that I built. It's better than a RAS score or PFF grading system. It is based on the height, weight, speed. It is based on film. It's based on a lot of different things. But this right here is based on like 8 different metrics that I analyze, and then I watch film. Tate Ratledge was my number 2 overall guard, right guard. As you can see, I put him at right guard with a score of 31, right? And that score is my scoring system. Now, Josh Connerly, if I remember correctly, Josh Connerly was not a guard. I slept, so you got to remember that. I think he was a tackle, if I'm not mistaken. He was a right tackle. Can anyone remember? I want to say that he was a right tackle, but when I watched he was a tackle. Was he left or right? That's what I don't know. Can't remember. Left tackle. He was left tackle. But when I went and did the film and I'm looking at his size and everything about him and his wingspan and all that good stuff, he's 6'5", he's 3'11", so he's a little light. All that stuff changed. 33.5-inch arms, 10 and 3/8 inch hands, decent 40, decent 10-yard split, great vertical, decent broad, okay bench. Wingspan is really light at 40% of the average. I'm like, okay, he's going to make a really great guard. Does anybody know where he's playing this year? What position? I haven't looked.
Josh Connerly?
Yeah, who's he playing for right now, and at what position is he playing?
Let's find out.
Playing for the Commanders. But I don't know if he's playing tackle. I mean, he's listed as a tackle. He might be playing tackle. So at the end of the day, wherever he's playing on the offensive line, I thought that he would transition well to being a guard. Whether that he's utilized, and my thought process is, okay, when you join a team and you're trying to make the team as an offensive tackle, it's pretty hard to do, but could he slot in at guard, get some experience, and then kick back out to tackle? That's the thought process. So had he been taken as an offensive tackle somewhere, well, now Tate Ratledge was my number 1 overall guard. Well, I believe Josh Connerly went before Tate Ratledge. I believe. He was selected. Where was he drafted?
Oh, I found out some information for you.
Go ahead.
Washington Commanders rookie right tackle Josh Connerly has been up and down this year.
Up and down with injury or up and down with performance?
Number 29 overall pick in the 2025 draft has started every game for the Commanders at right tackle after opening the season against pass rushers such as Brian Burns, Micah Parsons, and Max Crosby. Things settled down for Connerly.
Yeah, so he had to put his feet to the fire. So again, I probably would have put him in at guard, but obviously the Commanders had a need at right tackle. The Lions take Tyleik Williams, and then Josh Connerly went at pick 29. So he went before Tate Ratledge. So when all the tackles are gone, when some of the guards are gone, Tate Ratledge was my pick, and that's why I picked not only Tyleik Williams live during the draft, but I also picked Tate Ratledge live during the draft before they mentioned, and I put it out before as to who I would be taking. So my system is working, is all I'm saying. But then look down a little bit. Who do you see on that list? Right here.
Tate Ratledge?
Miles Frazier.
Oh, yeah.
He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys behind Tate Ratledge. And he's got a score of 29. So it's only 2 points less than Tate Ratledge. So I have him slotting in at right guard. Clearly he could have played left. He can play left guard, which he is. So my point here is the fact that even Miles Frazier slipping the way that he did, I didn't have him as a projected guy that was going to slip that far. I thought that Miles Frazier was going to be taken a lot further up in the draft than where he was. But I also had a lot of players ahead of Gray Zabel. Now, Gray Zabel would have been my guy for center, right? Absolutely. But I had him as left guard, right guard potential. I don't even know where Gray Zabel is playing this year. I haven't paid enough attention to it.
Seahawks, if I remember. Right?
Yeah, I just don't know where he's playing on the line.
Oh, let me find out.
Guys like Dylan Fairchild and Charles Grant. I think Charles Grant was actually on the Lions board. I thought we brought him in, coming in at my grade of 31. I don't know where he's playing. I don't know how well he's played. I usually don't do a look back at the draft until later on in the season. Definitely, in February, end of February, I start looking back at what we did. But anyway, if you stick around, if you haven't subscribed yet, and subscribe now, subscribe today. You'll go through a lot of these things with me, and we do a lot of it, in the morning show as well as more evening shows in the off season, and definitely a lot more videos. But you can see some of the guys that I had ranked, where I had them ranked. So you can screenshot this and then go back and check my work. Where are these guys at right now? As you can see, I had Josh Connerly down here at left tackle with a grade of 34 as a left tackle, and I had him as a grade of 34 as a right guard. Clearly, he went to right tackle, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. Will Campbell, I had him as the bottom of my tackles, simply because I felt that he would make a better guard with his shorter arms. I don't know how he's producing this season. First round grades that I had, a lot of this, some of this stuff you get wrong. Like Travis Hunter, yeah, I thought that he was going to be the, one of the top guys. Abdul Carter, he was going to be the top edge. Ashton Gianti, I thought he was going to be the top running back. Mason Graham, top DT. Jalon Walker, Matthew Golden, top receiver. It doesn't mean that he was going to be great, but kind of where they were going. And in first round grades, that's who I had. Those are the only first round grades that I had last season. Anyway, I'll get off of this. So since we brought, some of these questions in, I at least wanted to go back and kind of show people, like, I have so much information that I'm putting together. And so when people wonder like what the hell I'm doing behind the scenes and why, I don't get a lot of content out at times. Well, this is why, because I'm not just going to slap some crap up on the internet. I want to stand behind what I do. If I'm putting my name on it, it has to be good. And if I had more people helping me, we'd get a lot of things up faster. So I'm looking to add some people, quite a few people, people that know how to research, people that are comfortable, doing things and producing graphics and things like that. I bought these 12 assistant, like AI bots and that, and they were way overpromised and they underdelivered. So they suck. But I was hoping that they were going to create a lot of things for me, and all they really do is answer my freaking emails or read my emails to me. It was pointless. Big waste of money. Anyway.
So Gray Zabel.
Yeah.
He has played 486 snaps this year and allowed 0 sacks.
Nice. What position is he playing at?
It says guard, but it doesn't say left or right.
See,
I've looked everywhere, and it doesn't say whether he's playing left or right guard.
Everyone had him as a tackle, and I know he was taken early, but I felt that he would have been a really good guard, primarily because of the arm length, and that's kind of where this all started. Arm length, it matters. You guys will hear me beat it and beat it and beat it, until it's dead 10 times over, because it matters to me, and 1 inch does matter. Ask your wife. Haha, just kidding. But 1 inch does matter, especially when you start talking and adding in or talking about or adding in the ape index and hand, position and everything that these offensive linemen have to do to be perfect at preventing defensive linemen from getting in on your quarterback. It does matter. So I get it. I always hear the argument, well, it's just 1 inch, Will. Aiden's arms are just 1 inch shorter than the next guy, but it's more than that, right? You have to take into consideration, do yourself this favor. Go get an image of Myles Garrett looking straight at you, and then go get an image of Aiden Hutchinson looking straight at you. You'll see the difference. Myles Garrett is like wide with, elephant trunks for arms, and Aiden is narrow with decent sized arms. He's got pipes. He's got big muscles, but it's not to the Myles Garrett length, and that length shows up when you are engaged with the tackle and you can reach over and snap